Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for being here on short notice. This morning, uh, it's a dual situation here. I first of all, we're here to talk about the updates that have gone on with the Omar St. Hill case out of Hempstead, New York. Second, and equally as important, is shining a light on Miss Duchess of Discussions, Dutchie here. She
Good
has done
morning.
amazing things for the Omar St. Hill case that would go unrecognized in regular life, and I'm here to absolutely shine a spotlight on Dutchie for the things that she's done.
Thank
For
you, B.
those of you, I mean, she has, when you hear the list of things that she's accomplished, you'll be like, wow. So, without further ado, for those of you who aren't aware, I know the base group of ladies and gentlemen know who Mr. Omar St. Hill is. Um, but for those that don't, I will go. Hey, good morning, Griffey. I want to go ahead and run this really quick.
Hey, Griffey.
His
Good
family
morning, Honest.
deserves to be told because he is loved. Omar St. Hill is now 39 years old, and he is one of the missing. He just left all his personal belongings in the house and walked out, heading towards the 7-Eleven, and no one has seen him since. Omar St. Hill's sister drove 4 hours from Maryland to the family home in Hempstead to tell his story. He went missing during the heart of COVID, so my concern is what was going on in New York when people were getting sick and they was mishandling bodies. The sister worried Omar St. Hill, who vanished May 7th, 2020, could be among the unclaimed COVID dead in a trailer somewhere, but detectives said he wasn't. They know he's not in a funeral home as a John Doe. They know that he's not in the morgue, and he's not in a mental facility. He's not a troublesome dude. He doesn't make enemies or nothing like that. In his case, it just was real odd. St. Hill, 37 when he disappeared, had struggled with sadness after finding his brother Sidney dead at home 10 years ago from natural causes. When you lose your best friend, your brother and your best friend, how do you cope with that? Omar St. Hill's father made a police report, but family and friends say updates have been scarce. We feel, in our community, people of color get overlooked a lot. So St. Hill's close friend, also named Omar, spearheaded a social media campaign to find the Hempstead man who has 2 children. My name is Omar St. Hill. My name is Omar St. Hill. My name is Omar St. Hill. He was the best man at my wedding. He asked me to be his child's godfather. His son's name is also Omar. He's just been a part of my life. He's a true friend. Omar St. Hill's case has been picked up by the Black and Missing Foundation, which is based in Washington, D.C. His picture is on its Twitter feed. The mantra for this foundation: help us, find us. The police, they are the gatekeepers to these stories. When I researched Omar, I didn't see any media coverage at all. Wilson says 40% of the missing are persons of color, but Black males get the least amount of coverage. Oftentimes, when people of color, particularly Black males, are reported missing, they are classified or stereotyped as being involved in some type of criminal activity, and their lives aren't valued. These are missing fathers, they're brothers, they are our sons. We should point out that more than 500,000 people were reported missing in the U.S. in 2020, and most of them showed up. But the disappearance of thousands, like Omar St. Hill, remain a baffling mystery. We are speaking with the Nassau County Missing Persons Squad today, seeking more information.
Okay. Well, Miss Dutchie, you have the floor.
Thank you. Hey, everybody. I hope you guys are having a good morning. I appreciate you being here. Um, Omar St. Hill's case is really important because a lot of these cases are just being reported, but they're not actually being investigated. And so it's really left up to the families to use their own resources to go out and look for their family members to ask the questions that the police should be actually doing. And so, I have been making some phone calls and trying to get some information from the police department in Nassau County, New York, so that I can find the answers. I wanted to ask Detective Anzalone, Joe Anzalone. He is the detective that is over Omar St. Hill's case.
Now, is he appointed to just Omar, or does he have a caseload of missing? Like, does
He
he
has a
only do
he
missing?
he is in the missing persons department with other detectives. They are actually one of the few police departments that have a missing persons section. There are several law enforcement agencies that don't have like a cold case department or a
A
missing
designated.
case, right, designated for that. So he actually works in a department that is designated for missing persons. I did speak to another detective, Detective Howe, which was not on the case, but I did explain the situation and that Nassau County Police Department did share an incorrect date that Omar St. Hill went missing. Um, we did some research, and I did find on their website they shared the date of August the 7th of 2020 as the last date of contact with Omar St. Hill. And once
Correct.
Benny and I spoke with Keisha and Half, which is Matt, we
Which is who is
discovered
texting me right now.
that date, it was actually May the 7th. I was finding different dates. I went through Facebook, I went through Twitter, because I just wanted to learn more about this case. Because educating yourself about what you're being an activist for is very important.
it's it's
Know
it's imperative.
you need to
Um,
know all the facts involved.
so,
Um,
and Dutchy, we talked just a little bit about what damaging effects. You think that it's benign enough that it's the wrong date on the flyer, but when you think in terms of the ramification of the missing date being wrong, we talked about a number of things that are impacted in a trickle down sort of economic when it comes to having the wrong date. That's potentially people looking for surveillance on the wrong date or the wrong time. And then if you put out if you cast a net asking people to look at their footage from whatever they have during that time, they're essentially looking at the wrong time and they won't find him.
that's right. And this date was apparently shared from initially after the report was filed,
From the
which it
missing persons
looks
unit, correct?
correct from
Yeah.
Nassau County themselves.
Yeah.
And so haven't spoke to Detective Anzalone. He has not called me back.
And how
This is
long?
not.
Now you told me you've been calling him. Tell me how much you've called the man.
I have made 11 phone calls to the precinct in probably the last 3 weeks. And he has not been in the office. I've called back to ask if another detective can possibly just give me an email, or can they just receive this flyer to give it to Detective Anzalone. But I got a lot of pushback. People were like, this is not my case, or you'll have to speak directly to him, or let me get your phone number and he'll call you back. Like, they weren't very forthcoming that he wasn't even in the office. Like, if
Right.
they would have told me that to begin with, I wouldn't have had to be a pest.
Right.
It's just about transparency. I mean, this is why I feel like it takes so long to get answers or to just convey information that is really vital. Like, people just don't want to have that communication basis. So, fortunately, when I reached out again yesterday, I spoke to Officer Betty in the missing persons unit, and she was wonderful. So, Betty, if you're out there anywhere, she is doing a great job. She listened to what I had to say. She was concerned that the date was incorrect. She wanted more information. She did take down my email, my phone number, my name. Um, and then she said, let me just give you Joe Anzalone's email, his personal email. And I said, I've asked for that and no one else has given that to me. And I said, I really, really appreciate that. So I did write him an email. And I can read the email if you want me to, but I did send you a copy of that, Benny.
Yes.
Just
Let me.
basically explaining the situation about Omar, how the incorrect date was shared, which caused it to be shared to namus.gov incorrectly. And I sent him a copy to show him the incorrect date and the most updated flyer for Omar St. Hill and asked him if he could please double check his records to ensure that the correct date that he went missing is on there. Um,
Did you did you sense any sort of embarrassment on the part of the detective via Betty? Like, could you tell? Like, did she give you any
Yeah,
segue?
she seemed pretty concerned because she was like, and we did that? And I said, well, according to NamUs.gov, they retrieve all of their information directly from the police departments. And your office is the reporting police department. And she said, oh, this isn't good. Joe's going to want to know about this. But the other four officers that I spoke with, they did not, they just immediately was like, oh, I can't help you with that.
Yeah, I think that that's, you know, the issue is with missings is that, there is that need to get this sort of, blanketed awareness. You want to feel confident that you've put it in front of as many people as you can. But then, I mean, that's like the public transparency, right? But then when you do what Dutchy has done and you dig in, you realize, to me, what it sounds like is the thing is very compartmentalized. It's
And it
not
could
a
have been a typographical error. I
sure.
mean, and that's fine, but it seems like somebody would have noticed it before 2 years transpired.
Well, I mean, yeah, exactly. We don't know. We couldn't know right now what is their
Yeah.
data entry process.
Right.
But if they have, I don't know if the detective working the case is responsible for putting the flyer together, or if they have a media person that puts them together. But
Right. These are questions that I really want to ask somebody,
yeah,
but nobody really wants to take the time to talk to me. And I did talk to the regional manager, Lori Brunsky, which I think I pulled up her information. I can share my screen.
Dutchy, did you
She
see?
is,
Can you see what's pinned in the top of the chat?
um, well, I'm not
Actually, you
on,
won't be able to.
no, because I'm not on YouTube actually.
On the YouTube side, Ion Entertainment, he said that they had Omar and Keisha on the other night again, and
Yes,
they
I've been watching that Ion Entertainment. I've been trying to keep up with, and I've went back and watched, where you have featured some of those people. So thank you for doing that.
yeah, he's mentioned that Omar's mom actually has had to give DNA recently. It sounds like, so
Oh, I
that's a
missed
big
that
deal.
one. I did not know that. Let me write that
That's a
down.
Yeah, write that down. And you know what I would say? I would say um, that right there in itself is Dutchy. That's an answer to a prayer right there. And when we look at the timing, right? When we ran when we ran Omar the last time, that was when the Petito Foundation must have caught wind of what we did the night before. Then the news
Yeah,
did another push. Remember that? It was all within 12 hours or so. Now this. So I would certainly say that I
they
looked
have a
at,
lead
you
on
seem
something
shocked.
because why would they need the DNA?
Exactly. Or they're just doing what they said they would have done
Right,
previously.
which should have been done
Remember?
initially.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
they can match a profile to, quite naturally, we all know if we're even moderate sleuths, we know that they can match a profile for Omar based upon a maternal or a paternal sample.
absolutely. Yeah,
So that is a beautiful thing. That's moving forward. Now we'll just have to see what that renders.
yeah. I would really like to be able to speak with them and find out, what's going on. I know that they had a search recently. I saw
Yes.
Omar Sampson, his friend from North Carolina, was there and present, and I watched that search. And I was just really hoping that somebody would be able to talk to somebody, that somebody would see something. But see, those are also questions that, like, I really do want to ask the detective that I know he's probably going to say that it's none of my business. But, like, why didn't you check the cameras?
Right.
Why didn't you go to the gas station and ask to see the footage? Like, that
Why
would
didn't
have
you
been
take his
so
phone?
easy. Yeah, exactly. Why did you not look into? See, these are all questions that I have. And I'm probably going to open my mouth and ask, and he's probably going to hang up on me or something, but
Well,
I'm still going to ask him.
and that's
I want to know.
that's our responsibility, and I think that a lot of times as sleuths, as novice investigators, I think in my own mind, it's probably a pretty quick process to do those things, right? Get the footage,
Right.
get the phone, like that. That's where you're letting the technology solve the case for you. You have to at least, if it's available, you have to try to procure it. You have to do something with it, right?
Right.
Like here we are, the family's been without answers for 2 years now, and there was a lot of opportunities. I mean, there's still a phone that's in the play, right?
I
Like,
just can't believe they didn't check that. And that concerns me. There could be a key piece of evidence on that phone, and it's been sitting there for 2 years.
I mean, I
It
would
just gives me
have to,
chills.
yes, I would have to lean towards feeling like there probably is something on that phone that is going to elude to more answers for them.
Right.
So
Right.
I,
And, I
I
did reach out to some other places after I did reach out to Lori Brusky. She is a regional manager for NamUs.gov
okay,
for the state of New York. She actually is over 6 different states.
wow,
Um, and so she actually emailed me back the same day that I emailed
wow,
her. And she said, I'm concerned about this. Thank you for sending me a copy of the post and the information that we had the date wrong. And that was how I discovered that they receive all their information directly from the police department or the sheriff's office.
wow,
And so she told me that the reporting agency was Nassau County. And she said, most of the time, we don't update our information unless the police department updates it. And I
right,
said, well, I have made phone calls to them and I have not gotten a call back yet. And I said, but if you would please consider updating this, I said, there has been a renewed interest in the case. I said, the family is going to be doing a search, which of course has happened that happened about the same time that I had reached out to her. And I went actually on their website and was able to recheck the NamUs.gov for Omar, and it turns out that they actually did update the information on Omar. And they changed his date. I have the old NamUs profile and I have the pictures on here because I was going to show you guys, but this is actually the newest one. And you can see the date does say May 7th, 2020 now.
now let's see what you did. Let's see what you did, girl.
So the old one that I have, that I actually sent them a copy of, is right here. And you can see the date of contact. If I can get it up to the camera, it says August the
August 7th.
7th. And I sent her that. So she did change it. She did change it. So that's a win. It's a small victory. I did actually reach out to some other Facebook sites because I saw that they were sharing the NamUs.gov information. And I actually sent one to Advocates for America's Missing and a few others that had copied, and they actually updated their information and shared Omar's information out correctly.
Dutchy is a badass,
So
y'all.
it's
Don't
just
play.
it's just small victories, but
It is.
that means people are seeing the right information, and maybe that will make somebody go back and say, hey, I thought it was this, but now maybe I know something.
Now, you know what is also pretty special about,
Let me get my dogs. Hang on a second.
okay, what's pretty special about what she's done, in my opinion, is she's created an environment, I believe, where the data entry people and the detectives, potentially whoever is doing this, they're gonna they have a real motivation to make sure that this information goes into the database and then disseminated to the public, in a very concrete way, right? So you cannot ask for help from the public in looking for a missing, but give all the wrong dates and all of that jazz. So You know, what the part of the environment that Dutchy is cultured is that I believe is that I want to believe at least Hempstead is going to have a real motivation now to double check these things when they data entry it. It's
I hope so.
imperative. Yeah,
It's really important. It's really important. It sounds like it's something so simple to type something in, but in this case, a typographical error is extremely important, just like it is in the
it
medical
means
field.
everything. It
I
means
mean,
everything.
just switching one thing could like mean life or death for somebody in the
Absolutely,
medical field. So I'm
absolutely.
just real. That's one of my things because working in the medical field, you have to triple check everything when you're documenting as a nurse. So,
Absolutely.
when I'm reading this information about things, I always like to, double check everything. And that's when I started picking up on this information about Omar that wasn't, adding up. And that's when I reached out to you and I was like, something doesn't make sense. Do you know what the real date is? Because how do you know when the police department has the wrong date?
Yeah. You don't. I mean, you have to take unless you have
Ah,
unless
yeah,
you have
it's
access
frustrating.
to the family. You don't know those things. You are just taking the word for the police in the way that these things are designed and handed out. You're working off of what's available, and if you're a responsible sleuth, you're only reporting what law enforcement tells you or what you can obtain directly from the family. So when you are starting out in error, you just build error. I mean, think about it.
Yeah.
You what time did they say he went missing? I forgot. I mean, on the flyer, we know what
Well, on the
time.
flyer, it was like 1 in the morning.
Noon. Okay, one in the morning.
Yeah, and then I think in Nassau County, they were like it was 1 in the afternoon.
Right, one in the afternoon. Which, if people go back to their footage and they're looking for one in the afternoon, they'll never see him. He's not
Yeah,
there.
because if you weren't out at 1 in the morning when he really went missing, then I mean, they're going to be like, well, no, I didn't see him because
That's it.
that
So,
was really, that's why I need to talk to this guy.
right,
I really hope that he will get in touch with me.
I do too. In my opinion, it would be a complete malfeasance and a dereliction of duty if he didn't. I mean, that's
Yeah,
his
and I did,
job,
I
right?
did call up to the governor's office
Oh
and
God.
I did call up to the governor's office and I asked them if I could leave a message because I had some concerns about the way that missing cases were being handled and I wanted to know what department that I would need, who I would need to speak to, would I need to send an email, et cetera, et cetera. And she said, well, let me get down your information. And so she took my information and she said that she was going to send me some information and I haven't heard anything back yet. So today there's going to be another phone call that's going to happen to the governor's office in New York because I feel like it's tiered. I mean,
Oh,
one
absolutely.
department affects another, and that's
It
why we have this system is to keep things in check.
Yeah.
And like another concern, speaking of governor's office, I just reached out to the governor's office in Virginia because my concern is there are 189 missing kids since January the 1st in Virginia.
In Virginia alone.
Just alone. Now, you would think Texas or California would have more people because, the size of the
The
state, the
landmass, yeah.
population. But I think there's like 40 some kids in Texas that are missing, and not even that many in California in that same time span.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm like, what's going on in Virginia? Like, there's that,
Well,
like, that just, I have so many red flags. And like Penny can tell you, I've talked to her about it. It's just so concerning to me how 189 kids, I mean, if they're running away, why? Is it a
what
trafficking problem? Is it a foster problem with is it the system? Is there a broken system situation? Like,
yeah.
this is like
It's a
worrisome.
pressure cooker, and I think
Yeah.
there's a lot of contributing factors to that sort of activity. In one thing that always, I believe, is always in the sort of profile for abduction is, substance abuse. That adds, like you said, it's tiered. It'll add a tier of danger in exposing the wrong kind of people to situations where children are vulnerable. And you have a lot of
Right.
criminality around drugs, whatever they are. And we know Virginia has a ravaging meth and opioid situation going on there. So
Well,
it's
and we
it's
don't know what these, I mean, I've heard people say, well, they've run away. That's their decision. I'm like, whoa, stop, 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 stop. You don't know what they're running away from. What if they're being
exactly.
sexually abused? What if their
That's it.
parents are violent to each other? Or what if they're not getting fed? What if they're just, you don't know what their home environment is. We can't always
No,
judge
no.
a person's situation because I've seen lots of kids that I really don't get the impression like that they're on drugs or that, I mean, not every situation is the same. We can't be judgmental about that because they are still children and
Correct.
they still matter. They're still breathing. Their life matters just as much as anyone else. And they should not be the source of some type of judgment. Like we
No,
have to get out there and do more and be more compassionate.
you're right. I mean, also coupled with the it's like it's designed in the SA stuff is there's that shame that's put into it, and that shame is what I think sometimes clearly contributes to kids being runaways, but not reporting what's happened to them because there's shame, right? They feel shameful, so it's like they end up looking like a problem, but it's actually they're running from something, and
Right.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
That
Now
is so true because you just don't know
you
what
don't
all is involved.
know. Ion
So
Entertainment Network here says that Dutchy police found a body and they needed Omar's mother for DNA. There was no saying it was Omar, but they are checking, so things are moving.
that's wonderful, Ion Entertainment. Thank you for that update. I will be praying about that. I really hope that there will be this family needs to, I mean, they have done so much work. Like, I mean, so much hands-on themselves. I'm like, I just commend them for, I mean, for the sister and for Omar Sampson and for Matt just coming
Yeah,
together and doing everything that they've done to keep Omar's name alive and to keep looking and to keep spreading awareness. I just I mean, they're just such wonderful people. And I
yes,
really just want them to have answers because they deserve that.
they do. They deserve them like anybody else, and I was not aware, Dutchy, that there was such a thing called black and missing. And I hate that we live in a society where people even for a moment feel like their cases are set to the side because of their ethnicity or their minority or their religion,
Right.
and that people have to band together in that way, separate of everyone else. You know what I mean? Like there should be no reason for a black and missing. We should treat all cases,
The same.
yes, socioeconomics,
Yes. I
logistical
agree.
demographics. Like there should be no differentiation. It should be the same help, the same help.
I encourage if you have HBO, you can access HBO documentaries. I encourage you to go over and check out Black and Missing. It is an HBO documentary that is 4 series, and or a 4-part series that also contains information about the Omar St. Hill case, and it just talks about different cases of of black and missing all across America and how this is an epidemic, how racism really is involved in how cases are looked at. I've just now been able to watch it myself, And it was really heartbreaking, honestly. I mean,
And Dutchy, I think that it's safe to say HBO. Now, a lot of people don't know that HBO is also known for their world renowned documentaries.
oh,
And
they have great documentaries.
I mean,
Yes.
they are in the top. They are in the top five for historically too. Like they've been doing them since the early '80s, late '70s. So for HBO to and I don't want to say buy in because that sounds like propaganda, but for HBO to dedicate this much energy and resource just to the black and missing, what that leads you to understand is that even HBO sees that it is a real systemic issue that black citizens and African Americans and people of color in this country, they get marginalized even in their abduction. It's
Right.
not just that they're marginalized while they're alive, they're marginalized in their abduction. That to me is absolutely insane, right? White folks don't get marginalized, they get mainstream, right? Like there was someone was really shouting to the heavens during the Gabby Petito because it was like, look at the white folks, right? Like their daughter can be America's daughter, right? But at the same time, you had like three African American women that went missing as well, but they didn't get the press coverage.
Right.
Yeah, so it's a difficult thing. It really is.
It
It's a
really
difficult
is.
thing. Yeah.
And
So
I've noticed in Virginia, most of the kids that are missing in Virginia are either black or Hispanic.
absolutely,
And I was
absolutely.
just pulling it up to get a refresh for today. And since January the 1st, just looking for Virginia, it looks like there are um, 147 missing kids. So that means some of them have been recovered. Now, Cody Bigsby and stuff, he was in that. I mean,
Absolutely.
they still have other, missing kids, but I noticed that a lot of them are between the ages of 14 and 17.
Which puts them in that runaway category.
Right.
But
Which, exactly.
nonetheless, they're still missing.
That's
And
right.
I know it's I don't know what the percentage is today, but I know last year in 2021, the resolution on missing cases was it's in the high 90s, mid to high 90s. A majority of missing cases are resolved in some fashion. Um, it's the dynamics of the few and far between that end up being the ones that turn into to what you could classify as cold cases.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to do, on my channel is I'm going to be making some videos that may not have any speaking in it because I did just get my microphone. So now I'm able to talk in my videos. But I do want to take different states. I'm going to start out with my state in South Carolina. And I would like to just go back. We have 89 missing kids still in South Carolina to this day. These go back all the way to 1970,
Unresolved cases.
unresolved cases, and all the way up to how many kids are missing currently. We have 89 cases, and there are some unidentified cases. And going back and looking through those cases this past week while I compile some pictures, I just want to encourage you guys, if you're not already subscribed to my channel at Duchess Discussions, please go over and check my channel out. I want to share some of these cases. And after I'm done with some South Carolina, I want to go to other states and I want to be able to showcase some of these cold cases that people may have forgotten about. Just at least give them a chance to have their face shown, their information put out there where somebody can just read their information and say, hey, do I know anything about this case? So I'm going to be putting that video out in the next couple of days. I am working on the Amber Rae Johnson case right now, and I'm going to be hanging some flyers out this afternoon on that. So, but as soon as I can get some free time, I'm going to compile that together, and I do want to feature all 89 people from my state in a video at some point. It may take a few months to do that, but I will feature every face. That is my goal, is to feature every missing face in this state on my channel.
What do we know about Amber Rae Johnson? I know that you. Well, actually, let me step back, Dutchie. I want to make this comment first.
Sure, absolutely,
Um,
Biddy.
I think that you've found a niche, and I think that I really do. I think that you've found a niche, and you actually have the drive that most YouTubers don't, and that
Oh,
I
thank you,
think
Vinny.
not you're. And let me finish.
Okay.
What I think, I'm not snapping at you. It's all with love.
I know, I know.
You have found a niche in how to pressure law enforcement that doesn't seem to have traction on whatever case for whatever reason. You've found a niche, and what I think people need to pay attention to what you have going on, because if there's a case you're interested in, like, there are ways that you can organically and positively, with all the love and compassion, be able to make sure that you can call these detectives, and you can help maybe light a fire under them, so to speak. Like, what Dutchie is doing is actually the part that most people come on and say they're doing. This takes a lot of work, right?
It
Like,
does.
you can't do as much of this as Dutchie does and focus on trying to be the first YouTuber to do certain things. Like, this is Dutchie's niche right here. And what she does is she actually gets these things going, right? Actually gets them going. And I tell you what, at some point, Dutchie is going to be one of the very soft places that victims, I believe, will be directed towards. Dutchie won't have to try to reach out to victims and try to be helpful. I believe they'll automatically come towards Dutchie because she already has a track record of making things happen, and that's in the Omar St. Hill case. She already has a track record. So, with that being said, tell me what you know about Amber Rae Johnson here.
Well, when I was going through my South Carolina cases, I came across Amber Rae Johnson. But Amber Rae is not from South Carolina. She is actually from Bull's Head City, Arizona. And apparently her boyfriend is from South Carolina. In fact, he's not far from where I live. And he was out there in August of 2021. And he came back to Myrtle Beach. And apparently she was going to leave Arizona, and her intention was to come to Myrtle Beach around August the 16th. I believe there was a video on her Facebook, according to her mother, that she was on a bus and she was never heard from again.
Greyhound?
A Greyhound, yes.
Oh, man.
There's been no social media activity, and no one has received a call from her. No friends or her family have heard from her. And
Does she have
apparently,
children?
yes, and apparently her mother is watching after them. I
Now,
have
did
an
she?
interview.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, madam.
I was going to say, I have an interview scheduled. Her mother reached out to me after she saw that I'd made a video about her daughter and asked me if I
That's
could,
awesome.
if she could send me some Cash App money for what I did. And I said, absolutely not.
Wow.
I said, I did this because I want to help. I said, just let me know how I can help you. It doesn't require any money.
Wow.
And she said, can I just share some information with you? And I said, let's set up a conversation. I've sent her some questions that I just want to know, more information about her, about this boyfriend. Because apparently when she made it out here, the boyfriend said that she never told him she was in Myrtle Beach. but the mother suspects the boyfriend knows more than she does. So the mother basically reached out to me, and I found her on Facebook, and I reached out to her and I was like, what can I do to help? I'd like to print some flyers and go put them around the Myrtle Beach area. Another local that lives south of me apparently saw my video as well. She
Wow.
recovered her brother in Missouri. He was a drug addict. And she said that she went and found him through a Facebook site for the missing and brought him home to South Carolina. It's her twin brother. And now
Wow.
he lives with her. And she said, so I want to give back. Let me hang flyers. And I do have pictures of that. If you want me to share those. She went out to the boardwalk, which is like a main thoroughfare in Myrtle Beach, where the Sky Wheel is. And she hung up flyers on trash cans all along that boardwalk area. And four people
Wow.
that she spoke with stated that they recognized Amber Rae.
So
And
let me ask you a
right,
question. Does she have any substance abuse history?
yes, the
Yeah.
mother said that she did seem like she was acting very paranoid before the weeks before she left,
Yeah.
and that she does believe that she was using drugs. But
Yeah.
so some of the questions I have is like, well, what kind of drug use? Has she ever been arrested? Did she have custody of her kids? Like, there's a lot of questions that
Absolutely.
really help you piece those things together. And I want to know more about this boyfriend because,
Yeah, me too. The first thing when you said mom has the kids, that starts to help you put together a clearer picture already. And so then you're like, why does mom have
right,
custody of the kids already? So maybe Amber could have gotten off the bus, met someone at a stop. Um,
right,
hard to say. I mean, it's clearly she got off the bus at a stop somewhere. She
right.
never arrived where she was supposed to have arrived. So,
Exactly.
um,
There's all
sh-
types of possibilities, but knowing that there are some people that recognize her down on the boulevard gives us hope that she could possibly be here. She may be homeless. We're not sure. So we did reach out to the Myrtle Beach Police Department. I did ask Sharon to make a report with Myrtle Beach, and Bulls Head City Police Department did reach out to Myrtle Beach to share all of their information.
that's awesome. And see that's a
So,
beautiful thing, Dutchie, because that connection is not mandatory. They
right,
do not
exactly.
have to make that connection. It is extra work for them to do that. And the fact
Yes.
that they did is a beautiful thing.
So I'm hoping that that connection, if somebody does see her, that they can reach out to the Myrtle Beach Police Department as well. I'm going to be writing that on all of these flyers, the Myrtle Beach Police Department phone number, so that if someone sees her locally, they can call a local phone number and be able to report that they've seen her. Her mother is just very worried about her, and her kids miss her, and they just want to know that she's
I
okay.
mean, I can't imagine, having my grandkids with me and they're probably asking every day, "Where's mommy at?" And you just don't have that answer to give them. Actually, right here, Dutchie, I speak with this lady in the on the Facebook, and we've got somebody here that's in Myrtle
Oh,
Beach.
hey,
So
Meg, I have an email. If somebody could drop my email in the chat, it's duchessforthemissing@gmail.com. If someone could drop that, Meg, if you'll email me, that would be great.
there we go. God's working all the time, isn't he?
And I know Mr. Gumby did tell me that he was here. You're probably right up the street from me, Mr. Gumby. Email me, Mr. Gumby.
Email Mr. Gumby. Yeah,
I
Mr.
mean, we
Gumby.
can all use. I mean, we still have, we still have some really high profile missing cases here in Myrtle Beach. Heather Elvis. No one has ever found Heather Elvis, and uh, the husband and wife that they're still in jail. For possibly murdering her. They did kidnap her. I mean, it was a whole fiasco. And I mean, I know her parents. I just,
See, it's you are You're a blessing. You are a jewel, a polished little jewel. You are a little gem, Dutchie.
I love to help people. That's how my mom raised me. Is you're not helping yourself unless you're helping someone else. And I miss that about working in the nursing field because that's what I do.
I
I
mean, selfishly, it's a fix for some. It's a fix to help someone else. You get that great feel good return when you are helpful to someone.
it's better than me not doing anything. I have to do something where I feel like my heart is, I really just want to help people. I've had friends that I've have not too long ago, I had a friend that back from where I am from in North Carolina. Her child went missing. He went on the run and stole her husband's truck and took a kid that was in foster care. That was his girlfriend, and she ran away. And they went on a 3-state run. And
Oh
we were
no!
live on YouTube the entire time trying to track them down, and they were found safe.
Oh, that's a
And he
blessing.
was only 15. He didn't even have a driver's license. So we were very nervous that he could get into a wreck.
Oh, for sure.
And thanks to some great people in this true crime community, like Penny and Outlaw Trucker and Dragon and Libby, I mean, there was a lot of us that worked together to be able to keep my friend calm. The not knowing is,
The worst part.
we're very fortunate that they were found safe within 48 hours. It doesn't
It's a
always
blessing.
happen that way,
No,
y'all.
no.
So, um,
Do
I
you
just
feel?
appreciate y'all being here for, to listen to this. And if you guys have seen Amber Rae Johnson or know anything about her, please don't hesitate to reach out and let somebody know. Myrtle Beach Police Department, Bulls Head City, let them know in Bulls Head City that you've seen her in Myrtle Beach, something like that. I mean, anything helps. And the same thing with Omar's case. I mean, if anybody knows or sees anything, I'm really anxious to hear from Omar or Matt to see how the search went, and maybe they can give us an update, also.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I have been texting with Matt a little bit back and forth here, and he, if you're available, he's available to come on and talk tomorrow night. So,
Okay.
um, if that's something you'd be up for, then we'll make it happen, and then
Okay.
I
Yeah, that's
have
good.
to pass the baton from me to you in terms of half in key. Like, they need to know what you got going on every day.
And
I
I
knew
appreciate that.
you were doing stuff, but the scope of what you're doing, I've just it's unbelievable.
I appreciate you just giving me a platform to be able to do what I've just been trying to do behind the scenes that nobody sees. But it doesn't matter whether y'all see it or not. Like, this is
That's
what I
not why
want.
you do it.
That's not why I do it. I just want to
Right.
help people because I know if it was my kid, I would not know what to do. Everybody deserves empathy and compassion. Everybody deserves to hear their story and to know what really happened because sometimes when you're involved in it, you may not see all the different sides and you may not, like Sharon said, well, I didn't think about checking this or I didn't even think about that, because sometimes you don't think about those things because you're just worried because you miss your kid and you're not able to think about all the things all the time.
Absolutely.
And law enforcement is just not there to be doing the case because it's not an elderly person or it's not a qualified Amber Alert. So these cases aren't getting the attention.
They're shelved in a way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really sad because I can't imagine someone that I love that's so close to me just disappearing.
Yeah.
So, but it's happened to friends, and I've had a friend that her 16-year-old was murdered in her driveway last year, and the cops have still not um, found out who did it. In fact, she says they're not even looking. Like, he was shot dead standing in his driveway just talking on a cell phone. like he was a good kid. He's from my old neighborhood, and they're not doing anything. And she is in so much grief. And she was like, "Why aren't they helping me?" But I don't have all the answers. I don't know why, but I just feel
You're
like if
fine.
we
You're
can,
getting some answers.
I just want to try. And if there's anybody out there that can help, like we need the good people, because the drama is not helping us be able to help these people, because I think that scares people away from the true crime community and wanting to reach out to us is when they see these other people that are doing things that just makes it crazy. Like, I don't, that's not what my channel's about. My channel is just, I want to be able to help the victims have their stories told, and I want to be able to help the families to try to stay hopeful and have all the resources and know what they can do and what they should do, or have they covered all the bases, because they don't have the sources from the police department to know what to do about
Right.
things.
That's it.
So I
It,
just want to be able to share.
I saw that sort of firsthand with Omar's case when we talked to Key and Half that first time. I asked them some of the entry level questions on, well, did you do this and you do that, and it were just things that that you probably don't think about when you're in the situation, the tragedy. But it certainly seems like it was things that the police told them they could do, right? Like, it's the police, if they can't you know be so helpful, I guess, in the end, or in the end game, what they certainly could do is help the family be proactive in getting their own answers. You know what I mean? Like,
Right. I mean, I think that's imperative. If they don't have the resources to be able to assign somebody to at least do X, X, and X, they
yeah,
should be able to give a resource booklet or information that is written down for the families or of the missing, that these are the things that you need to do, because we don't have the ample officers or the team members to be able to focus on these cases. So these are things that you can do that can help get the information out there. I
absolutely.
don't know that law enforcement has a standard like that in every department, but I feel like that is something that would be very, very helpful, because most people don't know what to do.
No, and I think that may be something that the victim advocate side of things. If you streamline or you modify your victim advocacy process, and you make part of the victim advocacy process, you make it sort of a portion where you're like, okay, now these are the things that you can do to help yourself, right?
Right.
If you don't want to just sit here and rely on us to do it, these are some things you can do for yourself. And that's just you got to streamline it and take it that way. Now, the other thing that I want to mention to you, Dutchie, because it's right here on the tip of my tongue. Um, Professional standards. Are you aware what professional standards is in the police department?
Well, I'm familiar with it, but I don't know, I mean, all the specifics, but yes.
You have the ability to use professional standards to your advantage. So you
Right.
you could potentially call Hempstead Police Department and ask for the professional standards unit, and then you could tell them that you've been trying to reach out to a particular detective and you've not received anything back. And so what they'll do is, it's kind of like the way to have them get on him and say, "Hey, you need to do this," right?
Yeah, because
So
that's to me, that's extremely important. So,
it
I
is.
mean,
It is. So professional standards are the ones that can help you with that.
well, if it comes down to that and I don't get an answer, you can guarantee that that's where I'll be going.
It's what you got to do. And not you go there also to accommodate someone that's been very helpful to you. It sounds like if
Betty
you
was very helpful, and
that's
I
what I
would
was
really
going to
like
say.
to give her a shout out, because She actually took the time to listen, and I could hear that she had compassion. And that was really important to me because I knew that she would take my information and make sure that Joe Anzalone got it. And sometimes when you feel heard, you tend to, it just, I- it relieves my worry because there's a lot of times when I hang up the phone and I'm like, did they even hear a word that I said?
I would
Because
say that I
I
would say
don't know.
Miss Betty deserves accommodation from you. Like
Yeah.
it would take 5 minutes. You could call. You could give her
I will
name,
definitely have to do that for her.
and you make
Because
it.
she did give me his email, and somebody could
There you
have
go.
given me that 3 weeks ago.
Absolutely. So I would say she definitely deserves accommodation. They will write a letter up with your statement and your impact statement to her. Then they send that to the chief, and then the chief autographs it, and it gets put into her file, and it travels with her. So
Well,
um,
she
uh,
definitely deserves
yes,
it.
professional standard accommodation is awesome thing to reward our police with.
Do you think there is any other resources that we need to reach out to in Omar's case, Benny? What are your thoughts about that? I know you were
Well,
talking about we talked about canine units, we talked about searching. Do you feel like there's anything that we're missing as far as resources go that we could utilize in this? I mean, I've reached out to the governor's office and no one's contacted me back, but I still plan on writing a letter. And I encourage anyone that is willing, to write a letter to the governor, to the mayor, to the police department, about cases like this,
you know what
because that to me that matters.
it does matter. It does. It absolutely does. I think what we need to be pushing for, half key, if you're watching, we need to push. It costs them nothing to have that phone looked at.
Yeah.
That
And that
phone,
phone could be unlocked by the police department.
absolutely. That phone is, in my opinion, the
Yeah.
key. And in many percentage of the time, it's the key. So that's the resource, is that we have to push Hempstead or Nassau County digital forensics to open that phone up and take a look at what he was
Right.
doing on the phone before he left.
And I'm hoping that, having Omar's mother and Omar's sister to step forward as his family members, saying to the police as well, we really want you to open this phone. We
We yeah
really need to have this information,
we demand. I mean, you can
Right,
actually demand
right.
to have that phone looked at, and that's the demand we need to have at this point. We need to make sure
Exactly.
that phone gets looked at. So that would be my comment to your question. What do we need to do? Open that phone. That should have been the very first thing they did the day he went missing. Grab that phone. It's what they do
Yes.
now, right? Like every missing case, if there's tech available, they scour the tech. And for them to have not scoured for all available tech and digital trace of him is absolutely, I mean, it's deplorable.
Yes, I agree. Sorry, I had to let my dogs out. My Doberman is running me crazy.
She let the dogs out. Look at ass.
Yeah. So,
So
but I just want to make sure that, if anyone is interested in writing to the government about cases like this, like that helps. Advocacy helps by reaching out to the different states and the police departments to let them know, like, I'm concerned about Omar St. Hill's case, and that helps to push it along, because when the government starts seeing more people that's concerned about this situation, they know they're going to have to take action. And if we have to put the pressure on them, then that's what we need to do.
absolutely,
I
absolutely.
mean, I don't call up there and, go to their ass or anything like that. When I call, I just try to talk really nice and Southern,
And
and they
Southern,
like that.
of course they do.
So, but,
You
I just kill them with kindness because I
absolutely.
feel like that goes a long way. professionalism goes a long way when you're working with people like that. And even when they're rude to you, you still have to be nice.
Yes.
So,
Something that just hit me, Dutchie. Two things. One thing I don't even know. I'm wondering if there's a scenario where, because Omar has been featured on Black and Missing, that we may be able to reach out. And this is just, I'm just thinking of ways to get his picture in front of a lot of people, but maybe to reach out to some mosques in the New York area and see if they would be willing to post his picture inside the mosques. Hundreds of thousands of people go to the mosques in New York area.
yeah, I don't know what the rules and regulations are, but that is
Don't either.
something that we could ask for sure.
And what about Walmart? What do we got to do? Who do we got to talk to get him featured on the checkout wall at Walmart?
Somebody has to bring it up there.
Is that all?
That's what the Walmart, yeah, because here, I already have Amber's poster outside of Walmart. I just went and asked them if I could post it.
Is that just like randomly on the door, or is it actually on the
This
wall?
was actually inside. I just explained my case and, what I was doing, and I wanted to know if I could have her featured on, and post it somewhere. And the manager came and spoke to me, and she took it from me. But I mean, I don't know if that's how every Walmart works, but that is a good question.
So yeah, I think that that is one way that we could be helpful. Is that you guys could go post Amber Rae, you could go post Summer Wells, you guys can go post whoever you want, wherever you want. It sounds like so. I think that what we need to do is we certainly need to find out what is the protocol to get some of these things posted in these high traffic areas.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing. Like when I now I'm thinking about it, it's like in the Summer Wells case, Dutchie, we could have gotten tons of exposure for Summer by just going around to the Walmarts and the different stores advocating that she be showcased there. Like having her face permanently inside of a Walmart would have been maybe leaps and bounds above
Right.
having
I
her
agree.
face flash for 8 seconds on a billboard outside of Walmart.
Now,
Right?
I
Like,
will say that I did go to several gas stations here in the area, which we have Circle K.
a lot
We
of them
don't have
won't, will they?
we don't have Sheets or anything like that. We some Shell stations. Now, they will not allow you to post a
Correct.
missing poster.
Correct. It's a corporate deal.
Right. So, it's basically it's a hit or miss. So, and we have a lot of local companies here, and most of the locals are on board with letting you do things like that. Some of them have some weird stuff, but like down at the pier, like I post a lot of stuff down at the piers. I go to all the main piers and post things. But I will be hitting the Loris area today in the boyfriend's neighborhood.
Explain to us where Loris is.
Loris is I literally live on the beach, like 1 mile from the beach. So I'm in North
Lucky
Myrtle.
you, girl.
Yes. So I have to go west, which is probably about 10 minutes, maybe 20, to the outskirts of Longs and then Loris. Those are the next two towns that are going west out from where I live. And she gave me the area where the boyfriend lives. She gave me his address. And the mother is requesting that I go to the main intersections in that town and also to his neighborhood and to post these posters on all the telephone poles in his neighborhood.
That's
He'll
awesome.
have to. So I'm like, I will make sure he sees it. And I also did find his Facebook page, and I'm thinking about reaching out to him. My husband doesn't want me to do it because he doesn't want me to get threats or involved in anything like that. But I
agree
really
with
have,
your husband.
but I really have questions, Benny. Will you do it?
I will do it.
I'm putting you on the spot on a lot.
I absolutely will do it. I just, I agree with your husband.
Yeah, he's kind of weird about that.
Only because, this guy certainly in terms of the way it looks from the outside would be a persons of interest, right?
Yeah, he
So,
told me, he was like, if you see him out there, he was like, don't you talk to him.
right, don't
You
approach
keep
him.
driving in that car.
That's
And
it.
I was like, yes, sir.
Yep, that's where I
Because
would
I
be.
wouldn't stop, because I don't trust people. I just, if
Just
I
hate
don't
for
know you, like, I'm
right,
not just going to be like, let me pull up to some random person who may or may not have shot somebody in the face
correct,
and be
correct,
like, come over here and let me show you this one thing.
correct. Now,
No,
you know
that's not
that's
how I operate.
no, I know it isn't, and that's that now it's a good thing that we're at this point because I've talked about this before. We have a tendency to be a little more of a loose cannon when we handle cases that are not in our locale.
Right.
Um, when it is in our locale, we have a very, we should, as sleuths, have a very serious responsibility to try to handle it as appropriately as possible because, you are putting yourself very close to the situation, So it is, when you're dealing with things right close to home, you got to handle them, very, very gently. And that's not to say that because something's from out of town that you go ahead and completely mishandle that, but it's sort of the norm, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, like,
So
I don't want, you don't want to make personal contact with anybody like that. Um, so I'm going to post the posters, but somebody, the mother did ask me, because we're supposed to speak tonight over the phone so that she can answer some questions that I have, and she would like to come on a live. And I would really like to have a couple of people on panel that can possibly ask questions to her, that, because I'm sure I won't think of everything, but so if you would like to be on that panel when we do the live, I would love to have you come
absolutely.
over, because
I would be honored to. Thank you so
coming
much.
from your standpoint, I mean, you're very intelligent, Benny, and you ask really good questions. And I feel like that she may open up to you in a different way than she would open up to me.
I can only hope so.
Because especially when you speak to her about the boyfriend, because she feels like the boyfriend knows more than he's saying. And now he is no longer speaking to the mother.
And that's what you're looking for. Oh, she's okay. That's what
Yeah,
you're
sorry.
looking for in terms of when you're looking at profiles of potential persons of interest. You're looking for changes in the profile, and for someone to excommunicate themselves from the epicenter, I would note that change in profile as worrisome. You know, so
Right.
I think she
And
thinks there's a big bad squirrel going to come in that back
she
door.
thinks the military's coming all times of the day, and I'll go outside and it'll be some little kid on a bike, and she's got to tell me every little thing that happens.
That's okay. That's
What
her
are you
job.
doing, puppy? Come
That's
here.
her job.
Come say hey.
Hi.
Hey, mama. Yes, you sweet girl. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, about the boyfriend. She thinks that he knows more than he's saying. She said he was very forthcoming, but apparently she had to reach out to him when her daughter went missing. Like, he didn't call to say she didn't show up. And she thought that was weird. So I have all of these different questions, like, about him. Does he have a job? Is his family from here?
What is his business in terms of, his
Right.
financials, right? I
Right.
mean, it's yeah.
So, do they have any kids together?
Seems like
Because if
maybe
she's got kids, like, I mean, how did
yeah,
they get hooked up if she lived in Arizona and he lived here? Like, how did they meet each other?
right?
Does she know other people here? So there's a lot of questions that are unanswered, that we don't know the circumstances, that might help us to understand what could possibly be going on, and if he really is or isn't involved. Like, that's really important to make a determination,
I agree.
So
I agree.
when we go to do that live, I will let you know and see if you're available. I would love to have you on there, Benny.
I absolutely will be available.
Thank you.
At
I appreciate it.
any cost. So I guess so probably a pretty good time to wrap it up, you think?
Yeah,
I do want all of you, please go over and subscribe to Duchess of Discussions if you're not subscribed already. What we're
please.
trying,
Thank you.
yeah, Dutchie's not worried about any of the monetization. What she's after
No,
is she wants the community post. She wants to be able to share it without having to make a video every time, right?
that's
So,
right.
yes. So, I would ask that if there are creators in the chat, that you subscribe and that we help Dutchie with spreading her awareness. She's doing things that most of us aren't doing, and it needs to be. This is the difference. What Dutchie is doing is the difference in the community. So, please, let's get Dutchie to a point where she can start doing her community tabs. There is what for someone like Dutchie, the community tabs is a hell of a weapon for her to be able to push
Yes,
this
I really need
awareness.
that.
Yes, you do. It is. It's an
And I'm not
awesome
worried about
addition.
monetization. My
No.
channel is not about making money or
No.
anything like that. I just want to share these cases and be able to help people and just be able to have this community. Because when we're working together and doing things together, we are so much we are so much better when we work together. We can accomplish so much more than we're trying to do it alone.
Absolutely. I agree
So, and
100%.
I just appreciate everyone being here and being so involved and caring. You have everyone in the chat. Everyone has such a beautiful heart. Like when I come in here in Benny's, I feel so welcomed. Everybody is so wonderful, and I just really appreciate just. You have the best subs, Benny. I'm just going to have to tell you. I mean, you have some awesome people in this chat right
They
now.
are. They
I
really
just
are.
want to shout out to the mod squad because I love those guys. I mean, everybody is just so wonderful, and I just appreciate the platform just to be able to just try to help people. And that's all I want to do. And you've helped me to do that because you are helping people. You are therapeutic, brother. You really
Thank
are.
you. You know
You
what?
are like you are like
Thank you.
therapy to
Thank
us.
you.
I'm
Thank
telling
you.
you.
I do know that, and I feel like I almost have to preface it every time that we do something like this that's very, very positive. People are like, oh, well, Benny, you do all this. You know, when I do the other stuff like I did yesterday, that's always focused on someone who has caused a real world problem for the
Yeah,
people that like the Wells, right? So Ernie Shell, the situation with Ernie Shell is just to keep him away from this case with this little girl, right? So
right.
I
I'm worried
apologize.
for him. I
Me
really am
too.
concerned about him. And
I
I
am.
pray, Ernie, if you're
I am too.
listening to this, I'm praying for you, brother. And I want you to get help.
Yeah,
I just want you to get help. I wish nothing bad on you, brother. I just want you to get help and stay out of Summerwell's case. Thank you.
that's it. And that's it in a nutshell. So when I have to console Don and Candace because somebody on YouTube said the next worst thing or did the next worst thing, don't be surprised when Benny's knocking on the door. Metaphorically,
Yeah.
metaphorically. Anyways, to the beautiful Duchess, thank you so much for
Thanks for
being.
having me, Benny.
Thanks for being you. Like without you, there wouldn't be someone that a lot of us could strive to be like and to do things, parallel to. So you
Thank you
certainly
for
are
saying that.
you're a blessing and an inspiration, love.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. And it's because of all the people that I surround myself with. I have a wonderful bunch of ladies over in Penny's Discord, and I have you. We have such wonderful subs and people in our community that want to help people. And it's because of you guys. That's the reason why I do this, is because you guys help me to keep going. Like just to you guys share my stuff and you come over to my channel. Everybody's so wonderful. So just keep sharing, keep looking for these kids, keep being positive, and don't let Ernie wear you down.
Nope, that's it, lovely.
All right, peace out. I'll see you later.
Let
Thank
Petra
you.
out.
All right, I will.
All right.
All right,
Bye, love.
have a
Bye
good
bye.
day.
You too. So there we are. If you are not subscribed to the beautiful, wonderful Dutchie, please take a moment and go over there and make that happen. I know that I said I wouldn't discuss Ernie again, but I'm going to after this. But I'm going to do it in a way that's different than before. So please stick around. I'll be on here in another 30 minutes or so, and we'll get to it. Thank you so much for all of your support. Please, if you're not part of the Find Omar St. Hill group on Facebook, please go over there and search that out. Take a look at it. And I guess that's it. Please praise Dutchie. She is actually making things happen, positive change. So with that being said, guys, you know that the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence. I love all of you individually. Thank you so much, Dutchie. You are an inspiration. My mind is just turning now of all the angles that seemingly now are unlocking in my mind for available angles of attack to get these things moving. So thank you so much to Dutchie. Let's get her to 500. Love all you guys individually. Remember, the absence of evidence is not the evidence of absence.